Hi, welcome to the exam collection, where we just look at half a dozen exam questions to get us exam ready. So the more practice we do, the better we get. Simple as that. If you've been finding the videos useful and you haven't subscribed, it's probably a good idea to now, because I'm going to be doing as many of these for paper 1 as well as paper 2 and paper 3 as I can ahead of these exams. And I'm just going to drop them on YouTube kind of a bit ad hoc, just as in when I've had a chance to do them. So without further ado, let us just get on with this set of questions. The first one is there. Hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, so the first part of this question is asking us to complete the table. I can see that they are going up 5 every time. So if I add 5, I would get to 27. And then being asked to find pattern number 8. Well, pattern number 8 isn't that far further on. So I'm just going to keep adding on. So I've got 5, 6, 7, 8. I know that 5 is 27. And then I'm just going to add on. Now you should be able to see a pattern of ending in 2 and 7 in order to just get there as well. So the answer to that is 42. Then you're asked to find the nth term. So go back to the table, go back to the very first one. I'm going to rewrite them over here so it's easy to see. And then just take a look. What does it go up in? It goes up 5 each time. We've already worked that out and clocked it in order to answer the other questions anyway. That is what we put our n next to. And then you do the opposite. So we're going up 5, which means we're going to go down 5. 7 take 5 is 2, and that is what we write on the end. So I've got 5n and positive 2. I have a positive 2, and I'm going to show that plus sign in my rule, and that's the nth term. The last part is asking us to work out the pattern number if we had 60 sticks to use. And to be honest with you, we don't want to overcomplicate this. 60 is not a particularly big number. In fact, it's not that far away from the 42 we found for pattern number 8. So for me personally, I would probably just carry on with my adding on. So I know that 8 needs 42 sticks. 47 is the next number. 52 is the next number. 57. And the next one after that's too big. I've only got 60 anyway. So that's 9, 10, 11. So it would make pattern number 11. And I haven't had to do anything too crazy with that. But before we move to the next question, I do want to just make sure you know what you are doing. If the number had been bigger, let's say the number had been 160, there's no way you would want to carry on and keep going up until you got there. So this is when you make use of your rules. So you've got 5n plus 2. You set it to equal that big number. And let's just pretend it's 160, just so I can show you what you would do. You'd then solve to get n on its own. So take off the 2, and you've got 5n equaling 158. And then you divide through by 5. Now, if it's on a non-calculator, which it could very well be, you just use your bus shouter. 5s into 1 don't go. 5s into 15 go 3. 5s into 8 go 1, and with 3 left over. And you could start doing this, but there's really no point, because it needs to be a whole number. What's the biggest pattern? 31. There might be a couple of sticks left over, but it's certainly not enough to make the next pattern number. So I don't really need to know the remainder. I just need to know the whole number, and it's 31, had the question been 160, which it wasn't anyway. Okay, there's your next question. Hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, so we want to be buying these 25 plants as cheaply as possible, which requires us to basically work out the cost for both Kirsty's plants and Hedge World. So for Kirsty's plants, we're literally going to do 25 times £2.39. And you will do whatever method you have, okay? So we teach, and most of our students will use this grid. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but you would use what you have, okay? We also leave the decimal completely out, and we just work out what 25 times 239 is. That would, if you did it all by hand, get you that. And then it's just a case of getting the decimal back in. So the decimal lives 2 places in here, which we can see clearly. So you do the same in your answer, and we have got £59.75. Now for hedge end, we've got to work out what 20% of the £52.50 is. Okay, now we know that 20% means 20 out of 100. That would cancel down by crossing those off to 2/5. If I wanted to go all the way, I could go and half it to 1/5. And then it's just a case of putting, I don't need the 0, of putting that in. So 5s into 5 go 1, 5s into 2 don't go, the 2 gets carried over, and I've hit that decimal, so up it goes. 5s into 25 go 5, and I've got £10.50 when I start thinking about that in money. Now, if you don't cancel, if you literally work with 20 over 100, it's still going to work. It all works. So if you're aware of the fraction being cancelled so that you're working with smaller numbers, sometimes it can be really helpful. Now I've got to add my £10.50 to my original £52.50 so that I have an answer and can actually do some comparing. So let's carry the 1, 3, and I've got £63. And then you must answer the question, you know, where should he buy it from? So we can see it's Kirsty's plants are cheaper. Okay. All right, next question. Hit pause, press play when you're ready. Okay, so for standard form, I do numbers first, powers second. So the numbers we've got are 6 times 4, which is 24. And then I've got 10 to the 8 times 10 to the 7, which is 10 to the 15. Put that together and you've got 24 times 10 to the 15. And if that is your answer, you've missed a little detail that's really, really important. It does look like standard form. Everything about it feels right, but standard form only has 1 digit, not 2. So I need to get a decimal point in there. So I have 1 digit with value, and then any other digits will go behind that decimal point. So I want 2.4. To get to 2.4, I would have had to have divided by 10. Or you can just think, I've gone from 24 to 2.4, so it's got smaller by 1. And then times 10, it's got bigger by 1. Or times by 10 to keep the balance. If you divide one side down, you times the other side up. However you think about it is fine. I quite like sometimes that bigger, smaller labeling because it does work really well. The next question is a little bit different because of the fact that it is an add. We don't have a shortcut like we have here. Here, the indices have a rule. You add the indices for a times question. It means that I can take this shortcut, but there is no indice rule for addition, which means there is no shortcut. So the best way to do this is to change them into ordinary and do it as a column, and don't avoid doing that because you can miss a 0 or, you know, anything could go wrong really easily. So we're going to have 6 and a lot of zeros. And the easiest thing to do is to not get, I've just chucked some zeros in. I don't know whether I've done enough. I always just get them down and then I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 10 to the 8. So I do need another 0. So that is possibly one of the ways to do it. 4 times 10 to the 7 is just going to be 1 0 less. So I won't mess. Sorry, I'm just about to write a 7, which I don't want to do. Line up all the other zeros. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, and then 6. So that is an ordinary number. They want standard form. So you would end up doing 6.4 times 10 to the 8 as your final answer. Okay, next question. It looks very and feels very similar to one we did recently. Thought it was sensible to see it again so that you could practice it. So hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, this one has actually given us a bit of a picture for us to sort of hinge information to. So the first 2 sentences are in the picture already. We're being told that he drives from Caxby to Drone and then Drone to Elton. And we've got the average speeds, but those speeds aren't on the diagram. So that's the first thing that I personally would do. So let's add that in. We've got 30 from C to D. So 30 miles per hour. And then he drives at 40 miles per hour here. We've got to work out the average speed for the whole journey. So we've got our distance, speed, time. Speed is found by doing distance over time. And it's really, really important because I want it for the whole journey that I have the total distance, okay, which I do have in my story already. So 45 plus 20 is 65 over the time. And time is what's missing. Time is what I'm going to need to find. So I've got to do each bit separately. I can't do it in one go. So time is equal to distance divided by speed. So for the first part of the journey, I've got 45 divided by 30. Now this will cancel down to 3 over 2, which is 1.5. Now 1.5 as time is 1.5 hours. So that's how long the first part of the journey takes. Second part, we do the same thing. So distance over our speed. That will cancel all the way to a half. So it's half an hour. So my total time is 2 hours. Okay, so I've got 65 over 2. I want to know miles per hour. So I've got miles here and I've got hours here. At the moment, I've got miles per 2 hours. So I'm going to need to divide by 2 so that I can get it per hour. And 65 divided by 2 is 32.5. 2 divided by 2 is obviously 1, which is what I want. I've now got miles per hour. 32.5 miles per hour. Okay, don't ever get tempted to take shortcuts on these questions. You really do need to do every stage of the journey separately so that your totals are absolutely spot on perfect. Okay, I'm assuming we have more. That is the next question. Okay, so regular. Regular should trigger a formula triangle with 360 on the top, exterior and sides. I've got a regular polygon. I can see the interior is 150. Okay, now the interior of 150 isn't something I can use directly with my triangle because my triangle wants exterior. So this triangle will help me find the sides, but only if I've got the exterior and I have an interior. So all I have to do is stretch this out so that I've got the exterior and the interior sit on a straight line. Use the straight line rule, 180 take away 150. That is going to give me 30. And then I can put my exterior in. So cancel 3s into 36 are 12. We are looking at a 12-sided shape. Okay, you can see how critical this is. Without that, we could not have got very far with this. So that is a very important formula triangle for us to take into the exam with us. Okay, last question from this selection. Hit pause, press play when you're ready. Okay, so the key word here is estimate, okay? We don't need to be working with exact values. So this is going to round to 2 meters. This is going to round to 0.6. So not the nicest of numbers. And then we've got to think about what our volume is. So volume is the area of the front face times by the third length, okay? Or the area of the cross section. So the front face of a cylinder is a circle. So the area of a circle is pi r squared. Now we have the radius, that's 0.6. Pi, we need to use a value, an estimate. Pi is 3.14 and on it goes. So I shall be using 3. So 3 times 0.6 times 0.6, that is going to give me the area of the front face, which I then times through by the third length. The third length is the length that gives it dimension. It's the length that took it from a 2D shape where we find area and turned it into a 3D shape. So then I would be timesing through by 2. Okay, so I'm going to do this in stages in order for it to be a bit easier to work with. That's obviously the hardest bit, so I'm going to do that bit first. Ignore the decimals. 6 times 6 is 36. And then just think, right, that goes in 1, so I go in 1. That goes in 1, so I go in 1 again. And I'm going to end up with a decimal there. So I've now got 3 times 0.36 times 2. And again, how you choose to do this is up to you. I'm going to do this bit first. No, I'm not. Changed my mind because doubling's easy. So I'll do the doubling last. I'm going to do this bit first. Okay. So 36, 3 times over. Do you know what? I'm just going to do it like that. That's 18, carry the 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got, I've got 108. When you get the decimal put back in, you've got 1.08. And then when you double that, you've got 2.16 as your estimate. Okay, so still a little bit of work going on, but we've rounded accurately, we've stuck with that, and we've come out with this answer at the end. All right, so look out for that keyword estimate. Okay, hopefully you have found that useful, and I will see you next time. Thanks for choosing to study with Target Maths.